Welcome back to Master Your Glass with me, Livio Lauro. Now, if an apple a day keeps the doctor away, well, what does Calvados do? Well, I'm ready to answer that question because I have 6 of them in front of me. Let's get to it. All right, I'm really excited about today's episode. So let me preface that none of these brands have sponsored this video. This is just me popping some bottles open so that I could share my passion with you on a very cool spirit. And very cool spirit this is. What is Calvados? Calvados is basically a product that is made by distilling apple cider and occasionally some pear cider as well. Once these products are distilled, right, we have a concentrated apple cider that is now really high in alcohol, and then they are put inside of barrels so that the barrel can then help concentrate those flavors, smoothen them out, give them some really rich depth, and out comes one of the most underestimated spirits that I can actually think of. Now, the region of Normandy has 3 different Calvados areas. The first one is just called Calvados. And in this area, you can distill the Calvados however you wish. They must be aged for at least 2 years. And it's pretty a simple, broad category. There's a second area within the Calvados region, which is called Calvados Pays d'Auge. And then the Calvados Pays d'Auge area, the spirit must be distilled twice, and it must be aged for a minimum of 2 years. And of course, this area is smaller within the bigger area. Last but not least, we have a third area called Calvados d'Enfronté. And in d'Enfronté, the Calvados must be distilled once, but it must be aged 3 times. And in addition to that, you must add at least 30% of pear, okay? I should say 30% of pear cider. Now let's talk about them apples real quick.
Do you like apples? Well, I got a number. How do you like them apples?
There are over 100 different types of apples, and they kind of fall within 4 different categories. When they make this product, they're in essence just like a bartender making a cocktail. And so they have apples that will be sweeter, apples that will be more dry, apples that'll be really high in acid, and apples that'll be very tart. And so together, that good combination is what makes a really balanced Calvados. These apples will be blended together and then crushed together, turned into a cider, fermented, distilled, and barreled. And I'm getting thirsty, so let's drink. So the order in which I have put these Calvados is not your traditional order. They're not from cheapest to most expensive or lighter to heavier. In my opinion, some Calvados will show a little bit more of the apple pear flavor. Some of them will be a little bit more brandy-like with a little hint, so they're drier. And so I've put them in that order regardless of who makes them and regardless of their production. The first one that I am tasting here is Boulard, which is made in the Pays d'Auge area of Calvados. And this producer here has over 35 orchards. Of course, they have been making Calvados only since about the 1820s. The color that I see here is a mahogany color. It's really clear and see-through, so clean distillate. The aroma is really delicate, actually. It's not extremely pronounced. And I'm getting green apple notes. Maybe a touch of like black tea. And that's about it. Black tea. Yep. Maybe just a touch of apple cider vinegar. Let's go ahead and actually, because I'm drinking 6 of these, it's probably fair for me to add a little bit of water before I actually taste. Give that a swirl. Now, it's amazing what distilled apple cider actually tastes like because there's an abundance of flavors. There's a lot of acid. I'm getting a lot of weight on the palate. My mouth is watering, and I'm just getting these really cool notes of banana is meeting a little bit of orange peel, is meeting a little bit of black tea, maybe a little apple cider vinegar. And then there's this really cool green apple that's fighting for its tartness, but it's fighting against these red apple flavors that are trying to bring more sweetness to the table. And this yin-yang combination is really, really delightful. So very, very good Calvados. Again, the flavor is long, it's lingering, it's really cool. So of course I am, as a final conclusion, I am saying this is a really high quality Calvados. Of course, by it being a VSOP, it means that it must be at least 4 years old, which in terms means that, of course, the 4 years of oak or more, right, are actually helping contribute and putting all these flavors together. So the next distillate that I'm going to taste is the Christian Drouin Selection. Selection basically means that it is selected to actually age in sherry casks. So we'll take a test and see what that actually does to the distillate. The color here is a little more lemony, just a little light gold, maybe dark lemon in color. Let me add a tad of water and see what is going on in here. Tough day today. All right, so the aroma is a little more green apple-y, a little more tart. And by the way, this is single distillation, so only distilled once, of course. A little bit more tart, a little bit more vinegary on the nose. Kind of an intense aroma, and that is a good thing, again, because the things that are smelling are very good, but they're very good and intense. A little bit pear is now jumping in, and maybe that slight banana that I get very often in a Calvados. Oh yeah, oh yeah. There's definitely a lot more pear flavor in this one. And the black tea that I was talking about is really, really in here. And I almost feel like there was a bag of black tea that was put inside of it, and it almost over-extracted, giving me a little bit more of astringency. It's literally drying up my palate right now. Really nice sensation. I feel like the weight was a little bit less than what I was finding on its predecessor, and definitely a little bit drier than that one as well. Overall, a really incredible distillate, and perhaps very different to the one that I was drinking before, because probably a little bit less playful when it comes to the apple pear part of it, and a little bit more serious when it comes just to the distillate part of it. Okay, so the next one that I'm going to taste here is the Calvados Fiend from the Pays d'Auge region. Definitely more into the deeper gold, and not quite yet mahogany. Let's go ahead and see what this smells like. Oh wow, this is rich. Oh yeah, this is nice. Very nice apple and pear flavors here, kind of jumping at you. Again, that banana is there, and that banana isn't necessarily a banana, a sweet banana. It's just kind of pushing things out. The flavors of it, really nice. A little apple cider vinegar there as well, so I'm getting a little bit, you know, the aroma of what is going to be some type of a acidic ingredient. Very nice. Okay, let's go ahead and add some water here and see what is happening. Yeah, the first thing I can say is it's very velvety. Very, very velvety. A little bit more so than the two before it. It's just sitting kind of like the texture of a half and half, or even a heavy cream texture on the palate. It is a lot more about the pear and the apple or the pear flavors than anything else. And again, I'm getting that sweetness of the red apples with the tartness of some of those more tart apples playing against some of those little bitter apples as well. So I'm getting a real nice combination of flavors. This is quite a lovely Calvados. Okay, for our next one, we're going to try yet another respectable Calvados producer, which is Domaine Dupont. This one here already presents a slightly more dark coppery color to it. That is because this is aged 6 years and 25% of the barrels that they will use are actually new. So of course there's going to be more oak influence, aromas and flavors inside of this expression. As I smell it, definitely a lot more oaky. I am getting, and the cognac people do not hate me for this, but I am getting a lot of cognac aromas to it. And what that means is I'm getting those wood spice flavors from the limousine oak, which is also, by the way, giving me some nice little astringent tart, black pepper, even a little black tea aroma to it. Let's go ahead and add some water. Yeah, as far as the flavor goes, in no more expressions than this one yet have I found such a great balance between the oak and the flavors of the apples and the pears and the bananas that I find in most of them. The oak here is really there. There's a lot of structure to it. You feel it on the palate. It's there. It's contributing a lot. But it's serving as a really cool template to all those other really cool flavors, the pears, the apples, the black tea. What I really like about it is the spices from the oak are playing really well with this. They're playing in a nice way, so they're almost making that apple taste like a cinnamon apple, right? Why? Because there's no cinnamon in here, of course, but because of the spiciness of the oak doing that. My mouth is watering incredibly, which, as you know, I really, really love. And arguably here, this is the Mac Daddy of the ones that I have tasted so far because of an incredible balance between oak and the flavors. Also, the age is really showing in a really nice way. This might not sound amazing or beautiful to some people, but it really is to me. I'm getting a little bit of that funk, a little bit of that barnyard. It's almost like I'm in the barn, and I just moved an old chest that was there, and under the chest there's still that damp dirt that is there that's giving me those little funky aromas. Those are really nice when you're adding them into everything else that's going on in here. This is quite an exceptional Calvados. Okay, so let's move on and back to Drouin. We tasted Drouin before, that was the Sélection. Now I'm going to be tasting the VSOP. VSOP is a minimum of 4 years, and as you can tell, this is the color difference between these two. We have a lemon color here. We have a dark gold to copper color here. So I am gonna go ahead and give this a sniff. Ooh, a lot more balanced, a lot more banana. Very few things to detect right now on the nose, which means a very well put together spirit. Nothing is popping, everything is playing together. It's almost like a balanced cocktail. I think the apple is popping a little bit more right now, but not as evident as it was earlier. Along with a lighter style of tea. Maybe like a little green tea and a little bit of apple, a little bit of banana, but very firm, serious, intense aroma here. Okay, time to taste. Oh my Lord. So well-rounded, so firm, so serious. As I had mentioned at the beginning of this show, we were gonna go from more playful to a little bit more serious. This is definitely serious, which, by the way, I almost forget to ask every time. If you do like what you're seeing, please do hit like, subscribe, maybe share this video, hit that bell so that you get notified when I have more of these videos, because I enjoy doing them and I enjoy when you get to watch them. I'm getting more of a pruny flavor to this. Definitely a lot of more prunes, a little bit of apple, that tea flavor that, again, I frequently got in the other ones, but in this one, it's a little bit more. And there's almost a little bit more of spice to it. So there's a cinnamon apple component to it again here, sitting right on the top of my tongue. Really nice, really rich. Again, very velvety, very intense. Less playful, much more, hey, I'm here as a brandy to help you digest, right? Which, by the way, all of these, of course, in France, they are more utilized as digestives, kind of after the meal, but they actually do very well as aperitifs, especially the more bright ones, when they are either put in a cocktail or when they are a little splash of water as added to them, so that they open up and they give you that acidity. That acidity makes your mouth water, which is exactly what you want before a meal. Going back to this wonderful distillate here, really nice. Now that things have settled, I still have the flavors in my mouth, but it's gotten a little bit more chocolatey, a little bit more dark chocolatey. And again, it's just really firm. I don't have and there's some chalkiness on my palate. I almost feel like I slapped some chalk on the top of my tongue and on my palate, which I'm getting. And that, of course, is a symbol of astringency, which typically comes from oak aging. And as we know, since this is a VSOP, that is part of the game. Amazing spirit. Okay, for the last one, I'm not actually drinking a Calvados. What I'm drinking here is a Pommeau de Normandie, and it is by a brand called Renaud. And truth be told, it is so old that I have some floaties in here. This bottle is of age. Let's just say that. What exactly is Pommeau de Normandie? It is what is considered 3 parts of apple cider mixed to 1 part of Calvados. So it's, of course, lighter in alcohol content. It is, however, aged for a minimum of 14 months, so you're going to get a lot of those barrel components to it. And this one is typically consumed as an aperitif because it is lighter in alcohol, but let me be the judge of that. Little darker color here to it. Let's go with a richer mahogany, almost leaning into brown. Oh my gosh, what an aroma. Oh, this is nuts. Apples and pears again, but very walnut. There's a walnut component to it that I'm really enjoying. A little briny. It's almost like there was a pickle dumped in here, but a little one in a big quantity. So there's some pickle brininess to this, and I can see how it can be a great aperitif. But make no mistake about it, the aroma that I'm getting isn't very all that playful. It's very serious, but it has some bright notes to it. No need to water this one down because it is lower in alcohol. Oh my Lord, this is amazing. I'm getting, again, I'll start with the vegetal components of it. I feel like there is a, you know, when you boil a carrot, it turns a little sweet. I'm getting a little bit of a sweet carrot note to it, a little bit yammy note to it, along with those flavors of the apples and the pears that, of course, are there. And then the oak aging is really giving this nice little structure. Prune and green tea as well. Add prune and green tea to what I just mentioned earlier, and we are good to go. All right, that's it. Thanks for hanging out with me today, where we tasted 6 great apple-influenced spirits and almost spare it here. If you did like the show, please give this a like. If you feel like subscribing, why don't you subscribe and hit that bell so that you can get more of Master Your Glass with me, Livio Lauro, where you get expert instruction for everyday consumption.